a plan, and then the family get told what the plan is, and so we all believe it. And as the midwives, I'm a midwife too, the plan changes, and then people... changes, and then people... Well, actually it's not, because whānau centred is about whānau, it's about the mother.
It's actually in our care, okay? And if you just listen, and I ask you to turn that off, and I think the news that I've got is going to be positive.
Well, so then you would want that recorded.
No, I don't.
Okay, I'd rather have it on, because if you're going to... All right, then I'll turn it off.
Jean Tahuia and Rebecca Ormsby described to me what happened when they agreed to pause the recording on their phones.
So everyone looked at each other, and then we turned them off. And then she said, well, the plan is that and the baby can stay together.
So she says, okay, the midwife, you can take the baby down to the and while she was in the process was saying that, with okay, that sounds pretty right. Our lawyer rang, Janet, advising that the lawyer for Oranga Tamariki has put in a second application to the court advising that Oranga Tamariki have already uplifted the baby. And that was like, what? We were like, couldn't believe it. We were like, no way.
No, this is not
no
trustworthy.
Way. We ain't. We're not going.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not believing news.
Yeah.
So why did Oranga Tamariki tell the judge that the baby had been uplifted when clearly it hadn't? Was some sort of trap being laid? A decision was made not to risk leaving the hospital.
I felt a feeling of sickness come over me, and that was a feeling of hopelessness, because I felt there's no hope for our mothers, there's no hope for our families if this is what they have to put up with.
It's the next morning now, just before 10 a.m. I am in the hospital room with the whānau, the new mum and the baby, as well as the two midwives. Everyone knows that a new day will bring another battle. Jean Tahuia especially has seen this over and over again.
We're always trying to defend a mother or a partner. You know, they've already become victims of circumstance. You know, both of these kids have grown up in homes of family violence. Family violence is the issue here. This young girl has had a baby and she's done nothing wrong. By association, she's saying she's not fit to be a mother.
I turn now to talk to the young mum. So have you ever been in trouble in the courts? No. Have you been on drugs?
No.
So when mainstream New Zealand think about you taking the baby, we think the baby's in danger, the mother's off her head, there's alcohol fetal syndrome, drugs, risk, whatever. So
again, you've just proved that these kids have no strength to negotiate their own needs. They have no voice.
What would have happened yesterday if you and Rebecca hadn't been here?
They would have taken the baby. They would have walked in here like they did and would have taken this baby. And so what we're saying is the system is crook. Neither of them have had an opportunity to defend themselves against the allegations that have been laid against them by one person. And nobody else has had an input. I myself, as the judge, would have said, hell no, they're not having this baby. When I read what was written on that piece of paper, most of it wasn't true.
So you're telling me that there's these raft of allegations against the dad,
Yeah.
and you aren't in a position to be able to defend whether they're accurate,
Yeah.
true,
Yep.
reasonable,
Yep.
fair,
Yep.
or otherwise.
No, they're not.
Until they come take
Take
the
the
baby.
baby.
And it's
Yeah.
only then that
Yeah.
you can say, see
Well,
what they're saying.
Exactly. It's only then that we can say. Exactly. It's only then that we can say, this boy obviously needs support. Until yesterday, he didn't even know that he needed his own lawyer.
Jean Tahuya is referencing the baby's young father, who is still in the room supporting his partner and their newborn baby.
Look, it's not fair. Look, it's not fair, and it doesn't. So can they guarantee the safety of this baby if they take it off? No, they can't. They can't. Take it off? No, they can't. They can't, because all indications are this baby's either going to end up in a mental institute or as a 9-year-old last year. First, the youngest ever suicide victim in New Zealand, 9 years of age, ordered the state. So what have we got? What's the alternative to what the state proposes? The alternative to what the state proposes for these two babies. This baby and his older sister. They can't guarantee nothing. They can't guarantee nothing. We have to take a stand. As parents, as grandparents, we cannot allow this to continue. We can't. Yeah. Good morning.
Oh dear. A smartly dressed woman has just entered. Protocol is a word used a lot by the DHB. Well, there are turns out I had broken protocol by not seeking permission from the DHB to film the uplift of a newborn baby. From experience, I knew that gaining permission would have been unlikely. I apologised.
You're really good at well and truly told off to you.
And that would be the first of many. After yesterday's debacle, a family group conference was set up for today with the mother's caseworker who had just returned from holiday.
We've organised a room for whānau to have the meeting. And so the DHB have said, yes, we will find you a room.
Oranga Tamariki want to have the meeting.
Room?
Oranga Tamariki want to have the meeting at a venue 10 minutes drive from the hospital. No one can understand why the meeting can't be here, which would mean the baby's mother and father could attend.
We don't want to take her out and carry her all the way here.
But Jadine, the lead caseworker, isn't budging.
She said that's all right, she can stay, and they'll have her on speakerphone at the meeting over there, but she will not. They won't have her. I can't.
The mum obviously really wants to be at the meeting.
Yeah, you should be at the meeting.
Yeah.
Everybody is here. The whānau are all here. So the whole thing is quite, it's really unfair. It's unfair how they're doing this.
By now, the hospital coordinator has arrived. She too tries to assist with changing the meeting to be at the hospital. But then, in the midst of it all, DHB's head of security turns up. So I'm here with the whānau. Okay, but can I just have a conversation with you, please?
No,
No, because I tell you what, the whānau will be here. It's a master of the hospital. If Tamariki don't want me here, they can deal with it. It's not
respect all family and their wishes, but for me, in the hospital, while this process is just going on, there's a request from yourself and your care plan.
By who?
By me, to just make
Right, so now it's by who? Is it by Oranga Tamariki? So before you just said it was about Oranga Tamariki and what we hear?
Just leave, please. Because I don't want to think of the police. Okay,
So, let me just tell you this.
Hold on the
Just tell you this.
Hot on the security manager's heels, hospital PR, who by now seems a bit wound up.
Yeah, don't touch my phone.
Don't Phil, please.
We have the support of prominent Kaumatua and iwi leaders, and if we can't tell these stories, how will anyone know what is really happening behind the protocols and behind the closed doors? These stories are near on impossible to report. Stories are near on impossible to report.
The pickup. You've arrived near the pickup point. It's on your left.
No, but he's just so much to be fair.
And you're making sure that's
No, and I'll tell you what, the request is that you go to the commanders of the hospital and that you ask them whether or not that it's appropriate for us to be here. That's just my request to you, because this is a very, very important story. If the commanders of the hospital think that it's
You're near the pickup point. We suggest contacting and waiting for the rider.
but right now, I think that I've got a way more important job to do, you know, with what is actually going on with Oranga Tamariki.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you.
What is actually going on with Oranga Tamariki and the others, then to actually take into consideration that a few people from the DHB don't want me to be here. If they say I have to go, then I'll go.
And the
So
other
you're
thing,
happy with that?
and the
I'll
other
be happy
thing,
with that.
So you're happy?
I'll be happy with that.
So, with that established, it's back now to the pending family group conference.
Sky News Australia is coming.
The coalition government is the only chance to get our country back on track.
The 2025 federal election.
If it gets in a government, every Australian will be worse off.
Sky News brings you every big moment of the campaign trail, major press conferences, live updates, and crucial interviews. Stream every moment live on the Sky News Australia app. Conditions apply.
If you own a small business, you know the day goes fast. There's staff to manage, customers to serve, calls to make, books to balance, stock to order, suppliers to pay. But there are also opportunities not to be missed. That's why Amex Business Cards support cash flow, fuel growth, and reward you for being busy. Cards for businesses on the grow. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Search Amex Business Cards today. T's and C's, eligibility and approval criteria apply. Criteria apply.
The baby's future hangs in the balance of that outcome, and everyone here knows it's Tina.
The position is that
This is Auckland lawyer David Stone. He's Jean, the midwife's nephew, and Hastings for the day. He's about to take the reins here for the whānau. He's been on the phone to Oranga Tamariki, trying to change the meeting venue, which is